My husband hid his 8-year-old daughter from me for our entire marriage. His mother brought her to our son's birthday party and my entire world broke. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. I need some unbiased advice about my marriage and a shocking revelation that's turned my world upside down. I'm Debbie, 28 female, and I've been married to Daniel, 32 male, for 3 years. We met through a mutual friend at a work conference in Chicago. I was there representing my marketing firm, and Daniel was attending on behalf of his tech startup. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of obscure indie bands and spicy food. Our relationship moved quickly. Within 6 months, we were engaged, and we got married just 3 months after that. Looking back, I realize we should have taken more time to get to know each other better. But at the time, everything felt so right. Daniel was charming, ambitious, and seemed to adore me. We had similar goals and dreams, and I thought we were on the same page about everything important. I come from a close-knit family. My parents have been happily married for 35 years, and I have 2 older sisters who I'm very close to. We all live in the same city, and Sunday dinners at my parents' house are a weekly tradition. Daniel, on the other hand, was more reserved about his family. He told me his father had passed away when he was in college and that he and his mother had a strained relationship. I didn't push for details, respecting his privacy and assuming he'd open up more when he was ready. From the beginning, I noticed tension between Daniel and his mother, Linda, 58 female. The first time I met her was at our engagement party. She seemed polite but distant, and there was an undercurrent of tension between her and Daniel that I couldn't quite understand. After she left, Daniel was visibly upset. He told me that Linda was controlling and manipulative, always trying to run his life. He insisted that I keep my distance from her, saying she would try to cause problems in our relationship. I rarely saw Linda after that, and when I did, our interactions were brief and awkward. She came to our wedding, of course, but left early without saying much to either of us. Daniel always had an excuse for why we couldn't attend family events on his side, and why Linda wasn't invited to ours. I often felt guilty about this, especially when I compared it to my relationship with my own family, but I trusted Daniel and didn't want to push him on what seemed to be a sensitive issue. Despite Daniel's warnings, I never personally witnessed Linda being unkind or manipulative. She seemed reserved but polite whenever we did interact. I often wondered if there was more to their relationship than Daniel was telling me, but I chalked it up to complicated family dynamics that I didn't fully understand. Our life together seemed perfect on the surface. We both had successful careers, we bought a beautiful house in the suburbs, and 2 years into our marriage, we welcomed our son, Jack. Becoming parents was a joyous but challenging experience for us. Daniel threw himself into his work, often staying late at the office or traveling for business. I took on the majority of childcare responsibilities, which sometimes led to arguments, but we always managed to work things out. Last week was Jack's 2 male second birthday party. We had planned a small gathering at our house with close friends and family. My parents and sisters were there, along with a few couples we're friends with and their kids. Daniel had been acting strange all morning, checking his phone constantly and seeming distracted. I assumed it was work stress and tried not to let it bother me. About an hour into the party, the doorbell rang. I opened it, expecting to see another guest, but instead found Linda standing there. I was surprised. She hadn't RSVP'd to the invitation we'd sent, and Daniel had told me she probably wouldn't come. She was holding a gift for Jack, and for a moment, I felt a surge of hope that maybe this was a step towards improving family relations. But then I noticed she wasn't alone. Standing slightly behind her was a young girl, probably around 7 or 8 years old. The girl had Daniel's eyes and smile, and my heart started racing as my mind tried to make sense of what I was seeing. Before I could say anything, Daniel appeared behind me. His face went pale, and he started stammering, unable to form a coherent sentence. Linda, clearly frustrated, looked at him and said, "Are you going to tell her, or should I?" The next few minutes were a blur. Linda introduced the girl as Emma, 8 female, Daniel's daughter. She explained that Daniel had gotten a woman pregnant years ago, before he met me, but had chosen to keep Emma's existence a secret from everyone except Linda. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. I looked at Daniel, hoping for some explanation, some denial, anything. But he just stood there, frozen, unable to meet my eyes. Linda continued, her voice tinged with anger and disappointment. "He's been hiding her existence from you all this time. I've been taking care of Emma since she was born because Daniel refused to step up." As the words sank in, I realized that my entire marriage had been built on a lie. Daniel had a child, a whole other life, that he had kept hidden from me for years. The shock and betrayal I felt in that moment were indescribable. Our guests, sensing the tension, started to make excuses to leave. My sisters took charge, ushering people out and taking care of Jack. I was grateful for their support, as I was in no state to handle the social niceties of hosting a party. Once everyone had left, Daniel, Linda, Emma, and I sat down in the living room. Over the next few hours, the truth came pouring out. Daniel had a brief relationship with Emma's mother, Olivia, 40 female, when he was 24. She was a colleague at his first job out of college, and their relationship was mostly physical. When Olivia got pregnant, she told Daniel she wasn't interested in being a mother. She gave birth to Emma and then disappeared, leaving Daniel to deal with the consequences. Daniel, overwhelmed and unprepared for fatherhood, turned to Linda for help. Linda agreed to raise Emma, but she was deeply disappointed in Daniel for not taking responsibility. This was the root of their strained relationship. Linda resented Daniel for abandoning his daughter, and Daniel resented Linda for constantly reminding him of his failures. As I listened to this story unfold, I felt a mix of emotions: anger at Daniel for his deception, sympathy for Emma who had grown up without her parents, and a strange sense of respect for Linda who had stepped up to raise her granddaughter. Emma sat quietly through all of this, occasionally looking at me with curiosity. I wondered what she had been told about me, about our family. I asked Daniel why he never told me about Emma. He broke down, saying he was ashamed of his past and afraid I would leave him if I knew the truth. He claimed he had always intended to tell me but could never find the right moment. As the years went by, it became harder and harder to bring it up. Linda explained that she had been pushing Daniel for years to come clean, especially after he got married and had Jack. She felt it wasn't fair to Emma to be kept a secret, and she worried about the impact it would have on our family when the truth eventually came out. When Daniel refused to tell me about Emma, Linda decided to take matters into her own hands by bringing her to the party. The party ended abruptly, with guests awkwardly making excuses to leave. I was left standing in our living room, surrounded by half-eaten cake and deflated balloons, trying to make sense of this new reality. Emma and Linda left, with Linda promising to be in touch soon to figure out next steps. I told Daniel I needed some time to process everything. He begged me not to leave, promising he would make things right. But I knew I couldn't stay in that house, not with the weight of his lies hanging over us. I packed a bag and went to stay with my older sister, Kate. Daniel has been calling and texting constantly, pleading for another chance. My family thinks I should hear him out, saying everyone makes mistakes. But I'm not sure I can ever trust him again. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment, it was years of deliberate deception. Now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to try to work things out for the sake of our son Jack. Another part of me feels like this betrayal is too big to overcome. And then there's Emma, an innocent child caught in the middle of all this. Do I have a responsibility to her now that I know she exists? I'm lost and confused. Am I overreacting by leaving? Should I give Daniel another chance? What about Emma? Do I try to build a relationship with her? Any advice would be appreciated because I honestly don't know what to do next. Update 1. It's been a month since I found out about Emma, and a lot has happened. I'm still staying at my sister Kate's place, trying to figure out my next steps. After taking some time to calm down, I agreed to meet with Daniel to talk things through. We met at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop downtown where we used to have date nights before Jack was born. The familiar setting felt strange now, tainted by the knowledge of Daniel's deception. Daniel came prepared with a thick folder, photos of Emma from over the years, medical records, and even some of her school reports. Seeing tangible proof of this hidden part of his life made everything feel more real. There were pictures of Emma's first steps, her first day of school, birthday parties I knew nothing about. It was like looking at an alternate reality, a life that could have been if Daniel had been honest from the start. As we went through the documents, Daniel filled in more details about his relationship with Olivia and the circumstances of Emma's birth. They had met at work, Olivia was a senior manager, and Daniel was a fresh graduate in his first job. Their relationship was brief but intense. When Olivia got pregnant, they briefly tried to make it work as a couple. But Olivia struggled with substance abuse issues and wasn't in a good place to be a mother. When Emma was born, Olivia signed away her parental rights and left town. Daniel, barely out of college and starting his career, panicked. That's when Linda stepped in. Linda had always wanted grandchildren, and she saw this as her chance to have a positive influence on Emma's life. She and Daniel came to an agreement: Linda would raise Emma, and Daniel would provide financial support. At the time, Daniel convinced himself this was the best solution for everyone. As the years went by, Daniel said he fell into a pattern of avoidance. He'd visit Emma occasionally and send money to Linda, but he never fully embraced his role as a father. He admitted that shame and fear kept him from telling me the truth when we met. He was afraid of losing me, and as time went on, the lie grew bigger and seemed impossible to undo. Listening to Daniel's explanation, I felt a mix of emotions. While I could understand how a young, unprepared father might make poor choices, I couldn't excuse the years of lies that followed. The Daniel I fell in love with and married was only a partial truth. There was this whole other side to him I never knew existed. After our talk, I decided to reach out to Linda. To my surprise, she invited me to her house to spend some time with her and Emma. It was a surreal experience, walking into Linda's home and seeing photos of Emma growing up, photos that should have been in our house too. Linda's house was warm and inviting, filled with children's artwork and family photos. It was clear that this was a loving home, despite the complicated circumstances. Emma's presence was everywhere, her backpack by the door, her paintings on the fridge, her toys scattered in the living room. Emma is a sweet, energetic girl who loves art and soccer. She knew who I was and seemed excited to meet me, which made my heart ache. She showed me her room, proudly pointing out her artwork and soccer trophies. I found myself wondering what it would have been like to see her grow up, to be a part of these moments. Linda had clearly done a wonderful job raising her, despite the difficult circumstances. As Emma played in the backyard, Linda and I had a long talk. She shared stories of Emma's childhood, her first words, her first day of school, the time she broke her arm falling off the monkey bars. These were stories I should have known, moments I should have been a part of. During my visit, Linda shared her perspective on the situation. She never approved of Daniel's decision to keep Emma a secret from me. In fact, she had been pushing him for years to come clean. Linda apologized for not telling me herself, saying she always hoped Daniel would do the right thing. Linda explained that she had struggled with the decision to bring Emma to Jack's birthday party. She knew it would cause upheaval, but she felt Emma deserved to know her brother and to have a chance at a relationship with her father. She was tired of watching Daniel live a double life and worried about the long-term impact on Emma. As I spent time with Emma and Linda, I realized that my anger towards Linda had been misplaced. She wasn't the manipulative mother-in-law Daniel had portrayed. Instead, she was a woman who had sacrificed a lot to give her granddaughter a stable home. She had stepped up when Daniel couldn't, providing Emma with love and support. The visit also made me think about Jack. He has a big sister he doesn't even know about. Regardless of what happens between Daniel and me, I feel like I have a responsibility to foster a relationship between Jack and Emma. They deserve to know each other, to have a chance at a sibling bond. I'm still unsure about the future of my marriage. Daniel's betrayal runs deep, and I'm not sure if I can ever fully trust him again. But I've realized that this situation is bigger than just our relationship. There's an innocent child involved, and her well-being needs to be a priority. I've decided to extend my stay at my sister's place for another month. During this time, I plan to have more visits with Emma and Linda. I want to get to know Emma better and understand what role, if any, she wants me to have in her life. As for Daniel, I've told him that I'm not ready to come home yet. I've asked him to give me space while I figure things out. He's agreed to respect my wishes, only contacting me about matters related to Jack. He's also started seeing a therapist to work through his issues, which I think is a positive step. I'm also considering individual counseling to help me process everything. There's so much to unpack: the betrayal, the sudden expansion of our family, the shift in my relationship with Linda. I need to sort through my feelings before I can make any decisions about the future of my marriage. This whole experience has made me question everything I thought I knew about my life and my relationship. It's overwhelming and scary, but I'm trying to take it one day at a time. Update 2. Another month has passed, and I'm still navigating this complicated situation. I've been seeing a therapist to help me process my emotions and gain clarity on what I want moving forward. I've continued to spend time with Emma and Linda. Emma and I have been getting closer, and I'm growing to care for her deeply. We've had a few outings together, trips to the park, ice cream dates, and even a day at the local art museum. Emma loves to paint. Last weekend, we spent a whole afternoon baking cookies together in Linda's kitchen. As we mixed ingredients and shaped the dough, Emma chatted away about school, her friends, and her dreams of becoming an artist. It's bittersweet, seeing the bond that could have formed years ago if Daniel had been honest from the start. Emma has started asking more questions about her family situation. She's curious about Jack and about me, wondering why she's only meeting us now. Linda and I have been trying to answer her questions honestly but age-appropriately. It's a delicate balance, explaining adult mistakes to a child without burdening her with too much information. Last week, I decided it was time for Jack to meet his sister. I arranged a playdate at Linda's house. Watching Jack and Emma interact was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. At first, Jack was shy, clinging to my leg. But Emma, with all the confidence of an older sister, soon had him giggling as she showed him her toys. They ended up spending hours playing together, building elaborate Lego structures and having a tea party with Emma's stuffed animals. They got along so well, it made me angry all over again that Daniel's lies had robbed them of years of sibling bonding. Daniel has been respecting my request for space, only contacting me about Jack. However, he's been making efforts to be more involved in Emma's life. Linda tells me he's been visiting more frequently and even attended Emma's recent soccer game. It's a positive step, but it also reminds me of how much he's missed over the years. I wonder if he truly understands the depth of what he's done, the years of memories and bonding he can never get back. I've also had several long conversations with Linda. She shared stories about Emma's childhood and the challenges of raising her granddaughter. I've come to admire Linda's strength and dedication. She's not the cold, manipulative woman Daniel described, but a loving grandmother who stepped up when her son couldn't. She told me about the sleepless nights when Emma was a colicky baby, the proud moments at school performances, and the difficult conversations about why Emma's parents weren't around. Linda has been Emma's rock, providing stability and love in a complicated situation. These conversations have also shed light on Daniel's behavior over the years. Linda revealed that Daniel has struggled with anxiety and depression since his teens. Apparently, he had a hard time in high school, often feeling like he didn't measure up to his high-achieving older brother. The pressure to succeed, coupled with his father's sudden death during his college years, left Daniel with deep-seated insecurities. While this doesn't excuse his lies, it helps me understand his fear of confronting difficult situations. As for my marriage, I'm still undecided. The therapist has been helping me work through my feelings of betrayal and anger. I recognize that Daniel's actions came from a place of fear and shame rather than malice, but the scale of his deception is hard to overcome. I keep thinking about all the times he must have actively lied to me, every time he said he was working late when he was visiting Emma, every excuse he made for why we couldn't visit his family during holidays. I've started to think about what reconciliation might look like if I choose that path. It would require complete transparency from Daniel, ongoing therapy for both of us, and a lot of work to rebuild trust. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet, or if I ever will be. The thought of going back to our house, of trying to rebuild our life together, feels overwhelming. For now, I'm focusing on building a relationship with Emma and ensuring that she and Jack have a chance to know each other as siblings. Whatever happens between Daniel and me, I want to be a positive presence in Emma's life. I'm also trying to maintain some normalcy for Jack, who's too young to understand what's happening but can surely sense the tension. I'm taking things day by day, trying to make decisions that are best for both Jack and Emma. It's not easy, but I'm hopeful that with time, we'll find a way forward that works for everyone involved. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my world turned upside down, and I've finally come to a decision about my marriage and our family's future. After much soul-searching and numerous sessions with my therapist, I've decided to file for divorce from Daniel. While I understand the fear and shame that led to his lies, I simply can't move past the years of deception. The trust between us has been irreparably broken. Telling Daniel about my decision was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. We met at a park where we used to take Jack for picnics. As we sat on a bench, watching children play on the swings, I told him that I couldn't continue our marriage. He was devastated but said he understood. We've agreed to prioritize co-parenting Jack and maintaining a civil relationship for the sake of both our children. Speaking of children, my relationship with Emma has continued to grow. She's become a regular part of our lives now, often spending weekends with Jack and me. Last month, we celebrated her 9th birthday together. I helped her bake cupcakes for her class and watched her blow out the candles on her cake, making a wish with a big smile on her face. Seeing the bond between her and Jack grow has been one of the few bright spots in this difficult situation. Linda has been an unexpected source of support throughout this process. She's been incredibly helpful in facilitating my relationship with Emma and ensuring smooth transitions during visitations. We've developed a friendship that I never thought possible given our rocky start. She's become something of a mentor to me, offering advice on parenting and life in general. As for Daniel, he's been making efforts to be a better father to both Jack and Emma. He's in therapy now, working on his anxiety and learning to be more open and honest. He's been spending more time with Emma, trying to make up for lost years. While it's too late for our marriage, I'm glad to see him stepping up for our children. We're in the process of working out a custody arrangement for Jack. We've agreed on joint custody, with Jack spending equal time with both of us. We're also including provisions for Emma to spend time with Jack during Daniel's custody periods. It's complex, but we're committed to making it work for the kids' sake. I've moved out of my sister's place and into my own apartment. It's a cozy 2-bedroom place not far from Jack's preschool. It's been an adjustment, but it feels good to have a space that's truly mine. I've been slowly making it feel like home, with Jack's artwork on the fridge and photos of both Jack and Emma on the walls. Jack seems to be adapting well to the new situation, though we're keeping a close eye on him to ensure he's coping okay. This whole experience has taught me a lot about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of honesty in relationships. While the path forward isn't what I expected, I'm hopeful for the future. My focus now is on creating a stable, loving environment for Jack and being the best bonus mom I can be to Emma. It's been a challenging journey, but I'm proud of how I've handled this situation. I stood up for myself, made tough decisions, and prioritized the well-being of the children involved. While my marriage may be over, I've gained an extended family and a strength I never knew I had.